Coming to paperback and e-readers, from the author of the critically acclaimed book The Man Crisis comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women are becoming lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Pre-order your copy of The Woman Crisis on Amazon.com today. A day before the Thanksgiving holiday, there was a tragic mass shooting here in America. And in this incident that took place in Chesapeake, Virginia, a 31-year-old man allegedly went into work at the Walmart on the third shift. And as he went into the break room to start the meeting before everyone went to work on the third shift, he pulled out a firearm and shot and killed 6 of his co-workers and wound up wounding 6 others before taking his life. Now, in this incident, your 31-year-old Andre Bing allegedly participated in this mass shooting after taking his own life because he was having issues with the people at his job. Now, the police are seeing this as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of the actions of your Andre Bing, they definitely fit the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that your Andre Bing was one of those beta males that fits everything I talk about in my chapter, Mass Shooters and the Man Crisis. And when it comes down to many of these workplace mass shooters, many of these men are seething with lots of anger because they hold grudges against co-workers at the job. Now, your Andre Bing had been working at this Walmart ever since 2010. And in those 12 years he was working there, many of his co-workers said that he was a little off as related to his behavior. And that's a red flag for me because as someone who has studied and researched beta males, I've seen many of these beta males, they were said by many co-workers to be this kind of off, where they were paranoid, like they alleged your Andre Bing was. And they made statements about things like not trusting the government, like your Andre Bing was alleged to do, by putting tape over his cell phone to hide the camera. And this type of erratic behavior is a red flag as related to many beta males, as related to their propensity for violence. However, since your Andre Bing never really participated in any sort of violence, in the 12 years that he worked at that Walmart, he worked his way up to manager. And unfortunately, what happened to your Andre Bing is what happens when too many beta males, when they get put in leadership positions, they just can't handle the pressure of that job. Because in a management position, a man has to be able to deal with conflict, and your Andre Bing was struggling with conflict, and he was also struggling with the power that he had, because it seems like that power possibly went to his head, because some co-workers state that your Andre Bing would go out here and abuse his power by writing people up for arbitrary reasons and threatening to write up people for arbitrary reasons. And this was their reason for trying to avoid Andre Bing whenever they were on shift at that Walmart. And it looks like your Andre Bing was seething in anger as related to his co-workers, because it's alleged in some reports that your Andre Bing was writing a hit list of individuals he wanted to take the lives of, and that this list was found in his trash. Moreover, there was a manifesto found allegedly on his cell phone that TMZ is reporting. And these are all things that beta males do as they're holding their grudges with these individuals. Because another trait of a beta male is that they cannot just be able to move on. No, because these men want to have their smooth world. Whenever they see people who are causing them problems, they go out here and hold grudges against them. And since they hold grudges against them for disrupting their world, the way they believe in dealing with these individuals is to go out here and do harm to those individuals. That's the way beta males look to conflict resolve, because many times these guys will sit there quiet, but they'll be seething with anger. And as they're seething with anger, many of these guys, they'll just be sitting there making plans to do harm to someone. And that is a scary part about dealing with beta males, is because you don't know if this guy's a ticking time bomb. And it's not a matter of if they're going to go off, but a matter of when. And since these guys are just sitting there simmering and boiling in anger and never telling anybody about it, that nobody knows what they're going to do. And your Andre Bing was, again, a ticking time bomb at this Walmart for over 12 years. And sadly, nobody got this man any sort of intervention to prevent him from going off and participating in this act of violence. Some people just went out here and avoided him. Others just left the job because working at Walmart is just a minimum wage position, and it's not something people take seriously. However, beta males take this kind of job seriously because, one, many times these beta males cannot find opportunities for themselves that often, and two, many times your beta males, they don't have the self-esteem to go out here and pursue another position. So this is why they try to go out here and maintain codependent relationships with co-workers at these kinds of retail jobs. And as they're sitting in this job, they're trying to maintain power over these people who basically are going to come in and come out of this position every couple of months. And that's another thing that frustrates them, is seeing how people make progress, because a lot of times your beta males want to keep their world smooth, and because they want to keep their world smooth, it frustrates them to see people constantly moving on from jobs like this, not because they don't understand that people's lives are going to change. And when it comes down to a job doing maintenance at Walmart and receiving, that's a job people just go to get their cred and then they just move on. But these guys can't move on. And that's one of the possible motives for murder, because this Andre Bing was having issues with many of his co-workers because of a change in Walmart policy. And as this policy changed, this is again something beta males have a problem with, because beta males have a really serious issue with change. They are not used to having to adapt to change, and once they have to adapt to change, it totally disrupts their smooth world, and it turns a seething beta male into an enraged beta male. And in this case, it looks like to me, this beta male, as the Walmart changed its policies, which disrupted his world, this led to co-workers looking to complain to him. And as the co-workers looked to complain to him about these policy changes, this is where it led to him seething with anger, and that anger turning into rage. And as that anger turned into rage, what this individual did was he went out here and he wrote up a hit list, which he threw in the garbage, which the police found in the trash, and he began writing his manifesto, behaviors I have documented in my book, The Man Crisis, that beta male mass shooters participate in. And as he wrote up this hit list, he then went out here to implement his plan the day before Thanksgiving, because what he wanted to do was go out here and make it where this whole shooting would not only physically hurt his co-workers, but it would emotionally devastate their families, because every time they celebrated this holiday, they would have to think about the pain that their family members went through, because a lot of times when beta males go out here and implement their plans for revenge, they deliberately do this so that not only do these actions physically hurt an individual, they emotionally devastate the families and make them suffer as well, because Many times, these men are just miserable in themselves, and as they're miserable in themselves, they not only want to make their victims suffer, they want to make their family suffer, and they want to go out here and make everybody feel just as miserable as they are, because in many cases the beta male does not like the state of his life. And the sad part is, because he fears change more than most men, he'll stay in a codependent situation instead of moving on. Now, this beta male, this Andre Bing, he had over 12 years of experience as a manager in Walmart. And this guy could have easily, if the issues at his job were that bad, he could have definitely, in today's economy where there are so-called plenty of jobs, gone out here and left this position and moved on to another position. But again, when it comes down to your beta male, they don't want to change. And again, they want to stay in the same place. And they would rather stay in a codependent situation than take responsibility for their lives and just move on to another job and move on to another situation. Because a critical thinking man, when he sees that a job is toxic and filled with individuals who are extremely difficult to deal with, or a workplace situation where someone like a Andre Bing is there, and what they do is they go out here, get their experience, then take that experience and that reference, and they go out here and leave that job and get themselves another job. But your Andre Bing didn't want to leave his job. No, he felt that this job was his and he needed to have that job basically be like his own personal property. And because these people were disrupting his world, he needed to go out here and eliminate these people. And that's why he participated in this mass shooting at this Walmart, because he wanted to get rid of these people who were making his life miserable, because he didn't know how to go out here and conflict resolve in a way a critical thinking man would. Because again, a critical thinking man who is in a job where things aren't working out, what he's going to do is go out here and look for another job. And then once he gets a start date for another job, he's going to go out here and either put in his 2 weeks notice, or he's going to quit that job. He's not going to go out here writing manifestos. He's not going to go out here writing hit lists, and he's not going to go out here and do harm to his fellow former co-workers. No, he's going to just go out here, put a period at the end of things, and keep it moving. But your beta male, because he doesn't know how to move on, he holds his grudges and he goes to destroy the place that he's in, because he cannot go out here and deal with his feelings about things without exploding in rage. And that's what happened here with your Andre Bing, that sadly led to the deaths of 6 co-workers, led to 6 more winding up wounded, and it also led to your Andre Bing taking his life. And it was just a sad, tragic event that took place at this Walmart as people were looking to do some third shift shopping. What happened was that many of those people, they walked into this Walmart and didn't know they were walking into carnage. Now, in the aftermath of this tragedy that took place in Chesapeake, Virginia, we have many politicians like your Joe Biden talking about how we need to pass more gun control laws, but gun control laws will not stop beta males like this, especially ones that your Joe Biden proposed, such as banning assault weapons. Because in this case, your Andre Bing did not have an assault weapon like many other beta males use in their killing sprees. No, what your Andre Bing had was a pistol in this case, and he also had several clips of ammunition. And again, your typical handgun is not restricted under an assault weapons ban. And more gun control laws do not work in the case of these mass shooters, because the real problem with these mass shooters has to do not with guns, but with the way we are raising boys to become men. Because if you look at the statistical data as related to mass shootings, all the way from Howard Unruh in the 1940s to today, you will see a correlation between your increase in mass shootings and the complete breakdown of the American family. And we start to see a rise in mass shootings, starting with in the 1960s with the clock tower, and throughout the 1980s and 1990s. And this all coincides with the rise of the feminist movement, the implementation of no-fault divorce, the breakup of American families, and the ideal that a woman could raise a boy to be a man. And now we're seeing that in actuality, women don't raise boys to become men. No, they raise boys to become men in crisis, like I believe your Andre Bing became, because your Andre Bing exhibited all of the behaviors that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. I mean, he had the erratic behavior at this job for years. He was just talking about things that, like these conspiracy theories, and sadly, no one took his behavior seriously. But I could quickly identify his behaviors after doing decades of research on the soft male, or the so-called nice guy. And I saw the pattern as related to this individual being a ticking time bomb. And sadly, nobody was able to get to this man until his fuse wound up exploding, and he wound up taking the lives of 6 of his co-workers and wound up wounding 6 others. And one of those individuals is still on life support. But I believe if these individuals knew about what to identify about beta males, they might have gotten Andre Bing off the job back in 2010 or so. Because if you know what to look for, you can identify these individuals and be able to neutralize their threat. And that's one of the things people could have done as related to this man in crisis before he wound up doing harm to the lives of others. And that's something people need to understand, is we cannot passively ignore these kinds of behaviors, because this guy definitely, again, he fits that pattern and profiling. Because people didn't know about the pattern and profile, they wound up overlooking this individual and avoiding this individual, feeling like there was something off instinctively, instead of actively taking action to invest in this man and try to get this man the help that he needed. Because clearly this guy was a threat for an extended period of time, and his reactions to the workplace showed that he really did not have good critical thinking skills, did not have good problem solving skills, did not know how to use logic and reason, and was acting on these grudges that he had been seething in anger about for an extended period of time. And people really were not thinking about the bigger picture as related to Andre Bing. But if Walmart management had thought critically about what was going on as related to this individual's alleged erratic behavior, they could have saved lives. And that's, again, why we really need to work at the workplace, identifying these individuals before they can do harm to others. Moreover, we have to make investments in men so that they can learn how to function in the world. And that's what Andre Bing didn't get. Yes, he got a job, but he didn't know how to function on the job, and he didn't know how to end things on that job if things don't work out. Because another trait that beta males have is that they are terrible enders, and they don't know when to put the period at a bad situation. Now, most guys, again, if they know a job isn't working out, if they're having problems with coworkers at the job, if they're having problems with management, they make a plan to move on. But sadly, beta males don't know how to put a period at the end of things without it meaning the end of their life. they don't understand that when a job ends, it doesn't mean that your life ends. It means that it's just time to move on. And that was the big problem with Andre Bing. He didn't know how to move on. And the sad part is that his way of moving on was to hurt as many people as possible. And that's something many beta males do because, again, they are terrible enders and they don't know how to end things in a healthy fashion. Because I myself have had these kind of jobs and in retail, and I know that these jobs are a bit of a headache sometimes when you're working in the back of house, when you're working receiving, when you're working packing boxes. I mean, it can be a stressful job if you have a bad manager, but if you have a good manager, everything just kind of flows. You know, you just go through your evening or you go through your night, you're all chilled out, you're relaxed, you're just unpacking the boxes, putting the stuff on the shelf. But when you've got a guy who's got issues, he can make that job a nightmare. And the whole thing is, if you've got a guy like that, the best thing to do is just leave. And again, that's what Andre Bing should have did. He should have left this job instead of leaving people with the loss of their loved ones. But this is what happens here in America, because in America, we won't acknowledge the man crisis in this country. We keep trying to make it a debate about gun control, but the real problem is that many of these boys grow up never learning the proper male life skills and male survival skills in order to function in the world. And one of the male life skills a man has to learn when a job isn't working is that he's got to work out a way to leave that job, put a period at the end of things, and walk away from that job. And that's what Andre Bing never learned. And again, this is how a man on a job became a man in crisis and made life miserable for his coworkers before taking their lives. Now, if you want to learn more about what motivates beta males like this to participate in these acts of violence and their whole frame of dysfunctional thinking, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis on other online booksellers like Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more men's issues videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.